Howdy there, folks, it's Hunter, and in today's video we're going to be talking about Hush, and specifically what I think the god roll is, whether or not you should farm it, how much you should farm it, things like that. So for starters, this is the roll that I think everybody should go for. You want the double archers, Archer's Gambit and Archer's Tempo. The other one that I was interested in checking out was a Hipfire Grip Archer's Gambit roll, specifically for controller, but after testing between the two of them, I found that there really wasn't a major difference, and I just don't think it's worth chasing. Honestly, if you get this other roll here, then you can probably just delete it. Except maybe don't actually do that, because who knows, maybe they buff it at some point and it's a little more usable. But to reiterate, I did test a lot between the two, controller and mouse and keyboard. Now, for mouse and keyboard, you do get more precision with it, and it's possible that you might want to use it on mouse and keyboard, and I could see the justification for going for the Hipfire Grip. But honestly, if you're using the method that I taught recently in my Archer's Gambit guide, I really don't think that anybody should be going for that. Because what you want to do is what I call an early aim release, or just the aim release method. And that's where you're releasing your aim just a fraction of a second before actually releasing the arrow. That way you get full accuracy, the arrow goes right where you were just aiming while you were looking down your sights, and you're going to proc Archer's Tempo and Archer's Gambit. And this is effective for mouse and keyboard, and especially controller. I think everybody should be using this method, and that's why I say Hipfire Grip is really not worth your time. You're missing out on a heck of a lot more speed, so just go for the double archers roll. Now, as far as should you go for the perfect roll, the 576, not necessarily. The difference between 576 and 648, once you get Archer's Gambit and Archer's Tempo rolling, is really not noticeable. We're talking about just a few milliseconds, and that's just based on how the percentages work. They both reduce the crap out of both numbers, and it's a minuscule difference. I think I did the math, and it was a difference of something like, one of them had a point TTK of like 0.77, and the other was like 0.79. So really not a huge difference there. And realistically speaking, unless you've got the 576, and that's the other thing, if you've got the 576 roll, and you happen to be a warlock and you're using Ophidians, then you can get your reload up to 80. And with that 80 reload with the 576 draw, you can get a TTK of 0.77, if that's what is actually happening, if the math supports that. I don't actually know how Bungie, what kind of Bungie magic happens behind the scenes. It may not be something as simple as, well, reduce it by Archer's Gambit, then reduce it by Archer's Tempo. It could be something where they happen separately, which is not quite the same number. But regardless, you're looking at something in the 0.7 something range. And then if you don't have 80 reload, then you're probably looking at something around like a 0.8, maybe like 0.82. We don't know exactly, because it's kind of hard to judge that. And also with latency and just with the way that this game works in general, it's really hard to measure the frames and get an exact TTK on that. And it's a bow, it's kind of variable to begin with, so it's not really worth chasing down and not really worth worrying about. All you need to know is that currently this is the fastest bow in the game, bar none. Vengeful Whisper from the Warlord's Ruin Dungeon was the fastest, but if you could get like the perfect roll, or at the very least it was on par with the old Hush, but honestly there's no contest now. Now that Hush has double archers, it's completely the fastest. So all that said, should you go for the perfect roll? That's up to you. Gambit is kind of a pain in the butt to farm, so I don't know that if you necessarily want to go in there and do reset after reset after reset trying to get the perfect roll. Hush has gigantic perk pools because it's in Gambit, and it's just kind of unfortunate, but it is what it is. I would say if you manage to get the double archers roll, just go with it. Just use it, and I think it'll be perfectly fast enough for you. Because at the end of the day, here's the thing. Even if you get the perfect roll, you are still not going to out TTK a lot of other primaries out there, because there's a lot of other ones out there that get these 0.4s, these 0.5s, these 0.6s, some of them just at base, some of them whenever they get damage perks rolling. So you're going to struggle to compete with a lot of things like that to begin with. And especially in any team shot situation, you're going to immediately die. So with that, I would caution you not to fall into the trap of thinking that you're going to just immediately be able to win any fight with Hush because it seems super fast. It is super fast, but it's not faster than a lot of the other stuff out there, and you're not going to auto win every engagement. So I don't want you guys to fall into the trap of pushing too out into the open. This is still a bow. This is probably now the most aggressive bow in the game, and you can be a little more aggressive than you can with pretty much any other bow, but at the end of the day, you still got to land 2 headshots. There's a few different things you have to manage. You have to manage your draw time. If you're not wearing Oathkeepers, you have to manage your draw canceling, and you have to manage the timing of releasing your aim just a little bit sooner so that you can try to proc Archer's Gambit. There's a lot of things you got to deal with that a lot of other primaries don't have to deal with. They just aim and go burr, and that's it. And so don't fall into the trap of thinking that you're just going to win. It's fast and it's great, but it's still a bow. You're still going to want to peek shoot a lot, and you're not going to see me doing a lot of that here in this footage. I was just kind of goofing around with it and trying to be a little more aggressive, and it worked semi-okay. I did well enough with it. But admittedly, the timing of it was even throwing me off just a little bit. So it's going to take some practice. It's going to take some getting used to, and it's up to you whether or not you think it's worth trying to chase the God roll on this thing. There is another bow that's going to be coming out soon for Solstice. I think it's mid-July. I say soon, but it's not that far away. And it is a lightweight bow that's going to have double archers. It's going to have a smaller perk pool, and it's going to be a lot easier to get that God roll in that, and it's going to be faster. So you may just want to wait for that. Now, if you prefer precisions and you don't like lightweights, I would say go ahead and go with Hush then. Now, at some point when GMs come around, I believe Priya Styanax is going to have Archer's Tempo and Archer's Gambit added to it. That bow, if you get the right roll, is technically going to be able to be a 540 with that. And at that point, there's really no use in using a lightweight. You could just use the 540, which is basically in lightweight territory anyways, and it's going to have the double archers perks. However, I would say base it on what draw you like. If you like the way that a lightweight feels when it draws, then wait and do the Solstice one. If you like the way that a precision does, then go ahead and get Hush now, and then wait and maybe farm Priya Styanax. Don't necessarily go for the God roll on Hush. Just try to get the double archers and leave it at that, and then enjoy it until we're able to farm for a Styanax, which should be a lot easier to get the perfect roll on. Should. And of course, remember, it's still a bow. You still need to peek shot a good bit. It is a lot faster, and so this bow is going to have the best chance of success if you get caught out in the open or if you get rushed, but you're still going to have to peek shot with it a good bit. And it is unfortunate, but I think, as we've said in the past, that's just kind of how Bungie wants bows to be. I am still very excited. I think this is pretty cool. I think without a doubt, currently, this is the best legendary bow in the game, subject to change. But I am intrigued to see all of the different archers combinations that are going to be coming out. And who knows, maybe Bungie will even make some cooler perks that also increase draw time and reload or something for those of us that don't wear Ophidians. Who knows? But all in all, I hope you guys found this info really helpful on Hush. I hope this helps determine for you whether or not you want to go and farm for it. And I hope you find this insightful on some level. Thanks for watching, y'all, and I hope you have a wonderful evening.